obviously have to cover this dipshit. Now, hi, America. I'm Hal Sparks, the Democratic machine, a.k.a. the establishment, a.k.a. the deep state. That's right. I may not hit bottom, but I'll scrape the shit out of the sides. And let me tell you, I'm tired of being attacked by the man. And this is old Jamie Comer, who's apparently set up a green screen in his office at the Capitol and is... that's a lot of some of those stars are very big, so I don't know why you don't use it's not like the full image. Never mind. This is his apparently. So for those of you who don't know, Hunter Biden, when he was basically broke, his dad was paying his Joe Biden was paying his truck payments so he wouldn't lose his car. And yeah, and then at one point, when Hunter got a job, or got this other deal, he started paying him back the amount for the truck because they took over the payments or some shit. And so this has been around for over a year. New York Post did a story on this last year. I didn't cover it at the time because it was just so fucking boring, right? So this is the big. This is supposed to be Chairman Comer releases direct monthly payments to Joe Biden from Hunter Biden's business entity. By the way, starting in 2018. So there you go. Hold on. Whoops. What the fuck?
There was an absolute wall. President Joe Biden claimed there was an absolute wall between his official government duties and his family's influence peddling schemes.
Well, he never said there. He's never admitted that there is or said there was an influence peddling scheme. I would love to please play the quote of Joe Biden at a debate going, "I've always kept my family's influence peddling schemes separate from me."
This was a lie.
It's a fabrication. No one would say such a thing because it's fucking stupid.
President Joe Biden claimed his family didn't receive money from China. This was...
Well, he's he's taking the quote from the debate, which regarded the 1.25 or $1.5 billion investment fund that Hunter Biden, 3 years after this thing was formed, bought a stake in for $430,000. Like he invested his own money into it, as opposed to, never mind. It's fucking stupid.
It was a lie.
Which, by the way, never happened.
Lie. President Joe Biden claimed he never spoke to his son, Hunter Biden, about the Biden's family's shady business dealings.
That's right. And here's the thing. That's obviously a lie because it's a Christmas tradition in the Biden family as Catholics to sit around and they do what's called an open confession, where they all sit around and talk about their shady business dealings. And that's what they call them. As a matter of fact, I think he's trademarked the phrase.
This was a lie. Now, Hunter Biden's legal team and the White House's media allies claim Hunter's corporate entities never made payments directly to Joe Biden.
No, nobody ever said that. And again, it's Hunter using his business account to write checks.
We can officially add this latest talking point to the list of lies. Today, the House Oversight Committee is releasing
something that the New York Post put out a year ago.
Subpoenaed bank records that show Hunter Biden's business entity, a Wasco PC, made direct monthly payments to Joe Biden.
Of how much? How much were they? How much what do you think? $5 million, $1 million, $200,000, $250,000 a month. What's 10% for the big guy of $5 million deals? What do you think the amount is? How much? 500 gazillion? If you guessed $1,400 a month.
This wasn't a payment from Hunter Biden's personal account, but an account for his corporation that received payments from China.
Because he leased his truck under his business account.
And other shady corners of the world.
And other shady corners of the world.
At this moment, Hunter Biden is under an investigation by the Department of Justice for using a Wasco PC for tax evasion and other serious crimes.
No, he didn't use it for tax evasion, for not paying taxes on some of the money that he took in. That's his law firm, dummy.
And based on whistleblower testimony, We know the Justice Department made a concerted effort to prevent investigators from asking questions about Joe Biden. I wonder why.
Oh, I know. Because they're assholes who called him the big guy and were referencing evidence that cannot be verified. And if they brought it in on the case, it would actually cause the rest of the case to be thrown out. So if they'd brought in stuff from the laptop the Washington Post called a forensic nightmare, and the New York Post has never seen an original copy of that, and all the copies floating around have no traceable metadata on them, that if they had injected that into their evidence, then any first-year law student could have gotten it thrown out. I'm fucking so bored with saying this.
The more we learn, it appears the Justice Department was
the more we learn, the more we forget what we've learned.
Trying to cover up for the Bidens until brave IRS whistleblowers came forward and a federal
brave IRS whistleblowers. And of course they rewarded them with extra funding so that so the IRS can hire more people like them to work very hard. Oh, no.
Federal judge rejected the sweetheart plea deal. Payments from Hunter's business entity to Joe Biden are now part of a pattern revealing Joe Biden knew about.
You mean a pattern of checks and money that only happened a year after he had left the White House and was not planning on running again? That kind of pattern, a pattern of what is it? Private citizen behavior, I think.
Participated in and benefited from his family's influence peddling schemes.
You can't, asshole. He can't participate in his family's influence peddling scheme. He's the only one with influence. He is the influence peddling scheme, dumb fuck. What? Do you think people were using Joe Biden to get to Hunter? What the fuck are you talking about? Do you think they were sucking up to Joe Biden so that they could get into business with James? What? Okay, and by the way, this isn't an accident. Listen to how he phrases this, and I'll explain.
Now part of a pattern revealing Joe Biden knew about, participated in, and benefited from his family's influence peddling schemes.
Okay. Knew about, participated in, and benefited from his family's influence peddling schemes. Okay, first of all, since he's the only person with influence, really, they would be the one participating in peddling his influence, one would think. Also, it would kind of have to happen when he had influence, like while he was in the White House, which it didn't. Secondarily, how do they have an influence peddling scheme without him? Also, and like I said, there's a reason why he's phrasing it like this, is because all of it happened after, the payments they found, like the loan repayments, all that happened after Joe was out of the White House for a year and a half more, and deals that only occurred afterwards. So it wasn't like there was a deal memorandum signed or some business that was started while he was vice president, and then it picked up after he left, or they signed some sort of contract that it would go forward. None of that exists. None of that's even presumed to exist. The reason he has to say it that way is because he wasn't vice president and he wasn't president at the time. And he's not even making from these payments don't even like chart. We're talking about, like, in the scale of things, fucking chump change.
When Joe Biden was vice president, he spoke by phone, attended dinners, and had coffee with his son's foreign business associates.
Okay. Had coffee with. That's after. While he was vice president, I think the only thing that they argue is that while Hunter was doing the World Food Program, Joe showed up and glad-handed and had a meal for the World Food Program. That's the single part of it. That was Hunter's business at the time. There wasn't a secondary aspect of that at all. There was no other Kazakh wealth that the U.S. had any play in.
He allowed his son to catch a ride on Air Force Two at least a dozen times to sell the Biden brand around the world.
You mean the whole idea that, like, his son was an addict, but he still loves him? That brand?
Hunter Biden requested office keys to be made for his office mate, Joe Biden, in space he planned to share with a Chinese energy company.
Okay. I guess the top of that office building that they were talking about, they were going to have the Joe Biden Foundation in part of that. Like Joe and Jill were going to use part of the office if they needed it, or have staff go there. Never played out. CEFC deal never happened. That kind of shit. That's what he's referring to. After, by the way, he was in office.
Joe Biden received checks from his family that were funded by the Biden's influence peddling schemes.
How? How are they funded by the influence peddling scheme if he's the fucking influence and he's no longer in office?
With China, no less.
Okay. So, and what he's talking about is Yi Jianming giving money from CEFC into a holding account for a deal to buy a natural gas plant, processing plant in Louisiana. By the way, at the exact same time, while Donald Trump was president, Yi Jianming bought a $5 million apartment, a condo in Trump World Tower, and never set foot in the place, as far as we know. Just bought an empty apartment and sat on it. You know, just to have.
The House Oversight Committee continues to investigate Joe Biden's involvement in his family's domestic and international business schemes at a rapid pace.
So the investigation is at a rapid pace. This is just, maybe, you know what? Maybe I'm just missing something because it's happening so fast. Maybe that I see. Guys, it's my fault. I thought maybe I was just slow and I don't understand what the fuck he's talking about. So it turns out he's just moving so fast. We just missed it. Just zipped by.
We will continue to uncover the facts and provide transparency about the findings of our investigation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm waiting with bated breath.
President Biden and his family must be held accountable
for things you found that you don't like, that business-wise, that they did while Joe was not in office. Of all the years Joe Biden has been in office, okay, think about what you know about Joe Biden. Is that he's a career politician, right? That would be that's it, right? It's like he hasn't had, what's the complaint on the right? He's never had a real job. He's always been on the public tit. He's just always been in Congress or the Senate, and then vice president. And now he's president. He's just like a deep state warrior, just always been in public office. And these motherfuckers managed to find private business deals from when he was a private citizen, the smallest fucking window in his life. Think about, in 60 fucking years, you can't find payments like this, that any of them happened, even the inking of a deal or any of this shit during the time he was in office. You have all this fucking time, and you manage, the only thing you can complain about happened in 2017 and 2018. Like, you literally found the only time in history he hasn't either been serving in office or not running for office. That's it. Yeah, Joe Biden started off as a Newcastle City Council member in 1970. So from 1970 to fucking now, the only payments, like checks that they're like, this is hinky as fuck, were loans paid back from his son and his brother because he had a book deal and he loaned them money because they're not great at business apparently. He loans them money, they pay him back, and that's the only window ever 60 plus years in office, 2 years where he's not in office or not running, and that's the only time you can find any shit like this. That's fucking magic. That takes fucking talent. Seriously, is anybody else pointing that out? Have you heard anybody else point that shit out? You're right. It's been 50 years or something. 54 years. 53 years. In 53 years. All the time he has been in office, and the only time they go, look at this check that came from that his brother paid him money. Aha, we got him. When did it happen? When he wasn't in office. That motherfucker's always been in office. Well, not that year. That's amazing.
For this blatant corruption, the American people.
If it's blatant, find some from 2015. God damn. Blatant actually means something. You know what I mean? It's an actual fucking word. It actually has a purpose in language, right? Like the word evidence. It's different than information.
Expect no less.
Hi, Stargal. I expect you to dick around and waste everyone's time like this every fucking time. Can you imagine queuing up to see this dud every fucking day? He's got that China money. China money. Yeah, blatant like Santos. Exactly. Jesus Christ. Like, honest to God, how is that not part of conversation? Like, Comer's an anus. I wouldn't say that's a little rude, because anuses are useful. As a matter of fact, you need one. I don't think any of us need Comer. You know what I mean? It's like I've always said, kids. Opinions are like assholes. If you tell me you don't have one, I know you're full of shit. So, can't wait for the Biden impeachment hearing. Yeah, it'll be a tremendous flop. We've got bank records that start February of 2017, where we got payments for shutters and car payments and moving boxes and all these different types of monies spent, and all of it stops in August of 2018, of course, because then it goes to basically all campaign finance at that point. Honestly. And I know we have some trolls in here, and I'm sorry you guys just gotta catch this in the dick all the time. I don't know. Do you still get excited when you're like, here comes some Comer? Do you get like, here comes smoking gun number 7? Really? Do you really get all wound up and you're like, come on, man. This is it. This is the one. The last one wasn't shit. And the one before that was a little stupid. And previously it's been really lame. But these truck payments, that's finally the thing. Notice, by the way, can I point out, if I may, that all during this video, the only other thing you see in 2 minutes and 39 seconds, besides this asshole's face and his ridiculous Free Dummy Caucus background, is this little graphic. That they put it together. Hey, man, I don't know how you even argue with that. 1-1 equals, 2-1, right? That's the one. Boom. There it is. Equation, him to him, that the thing to him, and that's his president picture, so you know what happened then. And right? That's the only, seriously, 2 minutes, 36 seconds. This motherfucker is releasing what he says is evidence to you that proves, boom, this is it. Direct monthly payments. Pow. And the only fucking thing in this video is that. Besides his derpy fucking face. That's what you get? That's what you get. Because let me show you real quick, if I may. Because it's all over shitter. Let's see if I can find this whenever. Let's see. Hold on. Wait 1 second. David Hyde Pierce. Okay. Okay, gotcha. Hold on. Let's see. Just Comer. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, here Yashar Ali has it written out, which is pretty hilarious. So this is what he came up with. So these three payments of $1,380, totaling $4,140, appear to be Hunter Biden paying his dad back for a truck loan lease payments that his dad paid on his son's behalf when Hunter was low on cash. Sources a New York Post article about Hunter's finances and emails from the Hunter Biden email archive. This is where they got it from. It's the same shit. This is his guy posting like, oh shit. Like, and Bongholio, who, didn't bother to even fucking, he just went, gotcha. And that's, he's just fucking stupid. Received millions of dollars of CCP linked payments. Boy, that's a fucking reach. Linked payments. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Not only did Joe Biden sell out this country to the tune of nobody fucking knows what he did that was different from the policy of the Obama presidency, no divergent policy choices on his own at all. And not only did he do that, but they call it $4,000. He's a cheap date. The Chinese I don't even know why they thought they had to make the $1.5 billion investment fund for. That reminds me. It was hold on, kids. So let's see, Chinese fund, Trump. Okay. Let's see. Where's this? Let's see if I can find this. Goldman CIC. Goldman. Yeah, so previous to this is a newer version of it. The China has a sovereign wealth fund. And well, let's see if we can do this. Hold on. Yeah. Why is that in there? Hold on. Whoops. Update 2. Looking up one thing, if I may, as you always do. Let's see. I got to look for an older article on this. Yeah, here it is. Let's go all the way back, shall we? Okay, so for those of you that don't know, a sovereign wealth fund usually has to do with like owned natural resources by a country. A lot of oil-rich countries have sovereign wealth funds, which is think of it as the payments that Alaskans get for all the oil that's taken out of Alaska, and there's kind of like a payment that goes out to everybody. The Saudis famously have a sovereign wealth fund that became big news, especially when MBS was trying to suck back some of that money from his rivals and his, I guess, his free-roaming asshole cousins, right? Where they were locking people up and snatching some of the funds back because they needed it to keep the country running. So China has one. It's called the CIC. And curiously enough, it started making deals in the United States. And now the idea that they would want to invest in the United States is one thing, but you would want them to do it through another entity. If you were going to let them do this, if you're going to let them invest in stuff in the United States or buy stuff up, they would have to do it through an American company like Goldman or Blackstone or something like that, right? That's the idea. Well, Trump was like, fuck it. So if you don't know, here's 2017, back when Trump was like, I'm going to make daily deals like you've never daily dealed before with the daily dealing, Trump trade reboot spurs U.S. push by China's sovereign wealth fund. In an interview, CIC President Tu Guangshao says fund hopes to significantly increase direct investments in the U.S. And boy, did it. Remember all that stuff about them buying real estate near military bases and shit like that? Yeah, all during the Trump presidency, but then it became a problem once Biden got in office and he started cleaning it up. Okay. China's sovereign wealth fund is ramping up efforts to crack open the U.S. market, looking to seize on a recent thaw in the two countries' trade relationships. there is a potential for Chinese companies to make more investments in the U.S. and vice versa. China Investment Corp President Tu Guangshao in an interview said, "We want to build up mutual trust." Encouraged by U.S. President Donald Trump's meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Florida in April, and a broad plan announced last week to reset the two nations' trade and investment relationship, Mr. Tu said the fund hopes to significantly increase its direct foreign investments in the U.S. in the next few years. Now, guess what? Guess what's part of the CIC? If you guessed CEFC, which is the company that invested in the natural gas thing that Hunter Biden was part of, that was part of that deal. Remember that 2017? Remember the year 2017 and 2018? Remember when that's when this is? Huh? It's also the year that Yi Jianming from CEFC bought a condo in Trump World Tower for $5 million. Apparently, they were just giving him like coupons with $5 million on them because you can do anything you want as long as each little part of it only costs $5 million. So on Friday, the fund, which has more than $200 billion in foreign assets, is opening a New York office, replacing what that had been its only overseas representative office in Toronto. The move marks a shift in strategy. CIC had avoided a U.S. presence for years, frustrated by the investment environment there. U.S. regulators have been hard on us. We can't even name one symbolic direct investment in America. Now, think back, float back, kids, and 你们都知道我会说中文. So you all know I speak Chinese, and 我去了趟北京很多. I've been to Beijing a lot. I've been to 中国很多. Been there, China a lot. So think back on what we know now about what China has been doing with U.S. business investment and our intellectual property and all that shit, right? Over the last decade, right? Think back to this. And now, and look at this, not for the, we're announcing a businessy business thing, but for the, basically, corporate espionage and money suck that it actually was. Looking back, you can definitely go, this was some fuckery. And there's a reason why the Obama-Biden administration and previous administrations were like, nah, we're good. We don't need, we don't need you to put your money in here. You fuck with your currency all the time. We have no idea what your actual money is worth. And secondarily, that, if you invest in crucial stuff, we got to regulate what you can invest in the United States, especially when it comes to technology and all kinds of other stuff, because there's defense and our own personal national security, like food and safety and all that kind of stuff. So, nah, thanks, but no thanks. And then Trump rolls in 2017. He's like, I get Trump, a Beijing, World Tower made after this shit's all over. Let's make it happen. And so he has this blatherfest with Xi Jinping in Florida, and poof, CIC announces this giant investment thing by the way, without a sidecar. They're talking about it again because they're trying to, thaw relationships, but they're going to partner with Goldman Sachs in the process. Now, they did a little bit with Blackstone later in the deal as it was starting to sour, as a relationship was starting to sour, but they've cut that off. So anyways, U.S. regulators have been hard on us. Now, I want you to remember that the next time Trump says we cut more regulations than any administration in history. There's a reason for that. Okay. The fund, formed in 2007 as a way for China to diversify its stockpiles of foreign exchange holdings, is closely watched by investors worldwide as a major source of capital and as a proxy for China Incorporated's ambitions on the world stage. In the past few years, it has sought to invest directly in the U.S. real estate and infrastructure, but while U.S. holdings, mostly stocks and bonds, now exceed 40% of the fund's overseas portfolio, it has largely relied on outside asset managers such as Blackstone Group and Carlyle Group to invest in the United States. You have to. Now, that was going to be the difference. Under Trump, we don't have to do that shit anymore. We can do direct investment. That's what they're talking about. We don't have to have gold, like the guys at Blackstone or now Goldman Sachs or whatever oversee it, so we can fuck around with this stuff all we want. If there's a problem, it's between us and whoever we bought the asset from, and they're fucked. And again, this is why the CEFC deal never went through, because Hunter Biden was insisting they have to set up a U.S. subsidiary, and they wouldn't. CIC was part of the CEFC. So anyways, I just thought I'd float that along with his dumb fuckery. Now, recognize that in just a couple of seconds, I was able to show you an article from the Wall Street Journal from 2017 with available details about a thawing of relationships between U.S. and China that led directly to Chinese direct investment that included not only the purchase of an apartment in Trump Tower, but also this CEFC deal for this natural gas firm. That wouldn't happen later because they wouldn't set up this American system, which, by the way, this American affiliate. This guy put this in the screen. This is a sitting congressman, and this dumb motherfucker. That's what he gave you. I give you this just in a couple of seconds. And I mean, honestly, I could also just jump in there and go, I've covered on this show, I've covered the yuan versus the dollar versus the ruble versus the rupee. It's not hard, especially when I'm giving stuff not just as information, which I think guys should have, but also as what's the word? Evidence that what I'm telling you is true. But this dumb fucker gives you that. A picture with an arrow to another picture. Oh boy! And the weird part about that is that I guess you got to know your audience. Hey man, that's the kind of math I like, buddy. I grew up in an area where one of the most common phrases you'll hear is, you can't get there from here. You're going to have to go someplace else first and then go from there. Now, this is the kind of math I have enjoyed my whole life, which is this block is like that block, but they just next to each other. And this should be backwards in the arrow should go, because it's usually like father, like son, but this is like son, like father. Will the sins of the son be visited upon the father? Amen. Jeebus Christmas. Listen, there ain't nothing wrong with a little, making a little cash on the side, having a bit of a fucking hustle, man. As long as you ain't taking bribes while you're in office, I don't give a rat's ass. And you have to understand, that's the best eating. So, you can't argue with that kind of math. No way. By the way, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, share the show around if you're so inclined.